this point, I've automated just about everything in my life. My house runs on solar and batteries and electric vehicles. I've got a truck that can back up my house for an entire week. But my dream of the fully electric automated home always fell apart when it came to the yard. Now, I've got some great all-electric yard equipment, don't get me wrong, but a recent trip to Norway and the Netherlands told me I could do better. So my robot mower was supposed to be the final piece of my fully electric, autonomous home puzzle. Instead, it would miss areas like around these stones you see here. It would fall off the ledge and not be able to hold a straight line over there. And it would even have difficulty when it came down to holding traction along the sidewalk space. My friends at MOVA saw some of my struggles, and they sent me this amazing all-wheel drive LiDAR unit to test out and see if it would make a difference. This is the MOVA LiDAX Ultra 3000, and it's supposed to do what many of the others can't. So we're going to put that to the test and try to understand exactly how it does that. You can see as it's doing the edging part here on our first run that it's holding exactly the line I'm hoping it to. The test will be, as it comes up to this rocky area, how it handles this space that many of the others fail on. This is the exact result I'm looking for. As it turns this corner, this is where others without four-wheel drive that have the casters, they slip up and get stuck right here on my edging where there's about a 2 or 3 inch lip between the sidewalk and the grass. The ability to navigate this 6-inch curb was something else that the others just couldn't handle, especially with the different size wheels, whereas this one has all 4 the exact same size. And when it would get behind my truck that you see here, it would also mess up the GPS navigation. I think it would just get in the way of being able to find the satellites and would oftentimes get confused. You can see how well that just handled it with the LiDAR navigation. In addition to getting stuck, other mowers were losing signal and not making the transition between my backyard to my front yard. So to reach the satellites, I elevated the RTK antenna over the pergola to get above these trees, and not just 1, but 2, and even 3 two-story houses that surround my home. There's actually 5 in total that are around my property. Then the pathway for it to get from my backyard over to my front yard was also difficult, with the robot bouncing off the fence and the house, and it was just struggling, sometimes making it and sometimes not. So I reached out to my friend Kevin from Lawn and Order Texas Edition because he's tested more robot mowers than anybody I know. And I figured he'd be able to help me understand the struggles I've been seeing and the challenges with my yard and the RTK mower. He's also tested the other MOVA products, so he's very familiar with what they can do, as well as how the LiDAR works. So he's got some great perspective on this.
Hey Chris, thanks for having me on your channel. Let's discuss what you're dealing with here. An RTK mower that's given you a few issues because of your yard and its conditions. Based on what you've shown me, I'm not super surprised you've had some struggles with that thing. So let's go into the next generation and talk about how LiDAR can really help you out. Now, RTK and LiDAR are 2 different animals. RTK relies on the open sky, not having anything blocking its view, being able to get a consistent signal. Now, it's fantastic when it works well, and I know I've tested plenty of RTK mowers and they do a great job. But once you throw in multiple 2-story homes and trees and fences and even narrow pathways, that signal consistency can start to become a challenge. So that's where LiDAR, my friend, LiDAR is going to help you out. The mower doesn't rely on satellite signals anymore. It can actually understand the yard, navigate your environment, which can improve the reliability in more difficult yards like yours. Now, you mentioned also caster wheels getting stuck. Yes, that is a big deal with casters and 2-wheel drive machines. Now you throw LiDAR into an all-wheel drive machine, you've got something that's a great combination. The machines can handle slopes, uneven terrain, transitions much better than a 2-wheel drive machine. And the caster wheels work, but they do have their limitations. So having the LiDAR plus 4-wheel drive, that's a combination. And at the end of the day, there's no perfect robot mower for every property. And thankfully, there's more and more on the market every year. And luckily, we get to test them out and have the fun. So it really comes down to matching the right technology to the type of yard you have. So good luck, Chris. I know you're going to enjoy that MOVA 3000 with the LiDAR. Let us know how it goes, and we look forward to seeing your video. See you guys later. See ya.
Thanks, Kev, for the knowledge, and that's why I come to you for all the expert advice. Kevin recently did a video on the Ultra 2000, so be sure to check that out on his channel, Lawn & Order Texas Edition. You'll get a lot of great information about that unit. Now, there's an entire lineup in the MOVA LiDAX Ultra series of mowers, from the 1000 to the 2000, and of course the 3000 that MOVA sent me. Each one with a different set of capabilities and features that may work perfectly for your yard. And when you're ready to buy a mower of your own, be sure to use the link down in the pinned comment or in my description. That's going to let MOVA know that you saw this video here on Bo Family EV, and it's going to go a long way towards supporting my channel and allowing me to do more videos just like this. And of course, I want to thank MOVA for sponsoring this video, because the whole idea is to show that these mowers can be a great solution, not only for those big, wide open yards that we talked about with Kevin, but for smaller yards and neighborhoods and suburban areas just like mine, and for dads and families that are all across the United States that oftentimes don't think about the ability to go all electric, get away from gas, and all of the noise that comes with it. Now, as I've been testing and trying out all the options and abilities of the LiDAX Ultra 3000 this week, it's been crazy how many different things you can do with this machine. I've been able to mow with it at night, where it's so quiet that the neighbors don't even know you're doing it. And it's really that advanced LiDAR that makes that possible. You can see the three-dimensional image here, as it can track my front yard, backyard, my trees, even my power lines. It really knows the entire layout of my property and allows it to navigate exactly where it needs to go without the benefit of lights or any kind of satellite guidance. There's all kind of settings that you can put into the LiDAX 3000. Things like mowing efficiency. Standard will be a little bit slower. Efficient will be a little bit quicker, but may not give you as good of a cut. Mowing height, of course, can set anywhere from 1.2 inches all the way to 3.9. The default is set to centimeters. I went in and changed that to imperial measurements. I'll show you how to do that later, because of course, America. You can set mowing direction. You can also set automatic edge mowing. You can do safe edge mowing, which makes it a little bit more cautious in the way that it mows the edge of your lawn against a border. There is that Ultra Trim 2.0. That's where it'll take and shift the outside and cut it down to 1.5 inches. Again, be careful there, because if you're not trimming already to 1.5 inches, that's going to potentially cut down really low, lower than you've already got it, and that could do some damage to your lawn. You've got obstacle avoidance, and there's two things here that it's looking for. One is the height of the obstacle that it's trying to avoid. It's also looking at AI obstacle recognition. And then there's the distance before it avoids it. So how close is it going to get to the obstacle before it tries to turn and get away from it? If you set it too close, it could bump into it. Too far away, then you may end up with some lawn area that's not cut. So you want to find what works for you. There's also the ability to capture if it finds an obstacle and take a picture of it for you. Now, as far as how you mow, the default is going to be all areas. You just hit start, and it's going to go to all your zones one at a time. You can also select edge, and edge will just do the edge of the zone. So if you just want to hit up the edge because it's growing a little bit more, you can just go and hit up just the edge of one of or all of your zones. The next drop-down menu is one zone at a time. So you can select if there's one zone particularly that you want to hit up real quick, all on its own. Another thing you can do is control the robot manually like a remote control car, and you can go around and hit up some spots that you want to do on your own. And the last thing I'll show you here is spot control. So if you don't want to manually hit a spot that maybe has been missed, or if there's an area that grows a little bit faster than the other parts of your lawn and you just want to repeatedly hit that zone or that spot of a zone, you can set up an area, a spot area, and send your robot to go a certain number of times a week just to hit up that spot particularly that you know goes faster than the other ones. Now, as we look at some of the universal settings in here, there is rain protection, frost protection, there is a do not disturb, a low speed at night. There's different ways to schedule it. There's a lift alarm. There is an off of the map alarm. There's a human presence detection, an anti-theft detection. There's a sentry mode. There's even an area for consumables and maintenance that'll show you the life left in your blades, the cleaning brush, the robot maintenance. There's, of course, an area for robot info so you can name your robot. There's your time zone, firmware updates because the robot mower keeps getting better and better. There's your unit of measure. That's where you're going to set Celsius versus Fahrenheit and inches versus centimeters. You can even change the robot voice and set notifications. Sentry mode is pretty remarkable, where it goes around your property and acts like a guard dog and allows you to see video and take images. That's a pretty incredible feature as well. There are two different ways to map your yard. One is the auto map feature, which is perfect for areas like my backyard, where I've got a well-defined border, for example, along my fence line with paving stones and even a sidewalk area. This makes it really easy for the robot to define the border. This is also the point where if I had a garden, a tree, a doghouse, something that was a no-go zone here, I would set the no-go zone. But you can see here I have no play structure or anything else in the way. So this is simple. I'm just going to hit finish the map. For more complex areas like my front yard, I did this one manually. This is where I can define exactly how I want it to run along the edge of my sidewalk and my rocky areas, as well as this 6-inch curb area, and some of the areas here where I've got to be careful about the dips and valleys of my yard. If you've got a complex area with some gardening and some shrubbery, this is where the manual mapping will be your friend. And there we go. We've closed boundary number 3. Now all the zones are connected successfully. We're ready to go and ready to mow. So will this completely replace all of my yard equipment? Absolutely not. You're going to see down here, for example, still going to need to take the trimmer, the weed whacker there, and get all this grass that's between the pavers and the fence, get that out of there. You still need to take and do some trimming around the edges here of the yard. What this is going to do, though, is extend the number of weeks and even months between the times that I have to do that. It's going to upkeep the yard and the lawn. It's going to make it look beautiful. And I'm going to run it, 2 or 3 times a week to kind of help keep it healthy and just trim the tops off of the lawn. Another thing it won't do well is sticks, branches, leaves, and fruit. So when my peaches will fall off the tree, I'm going to need to rake all that up. Any leaves and stuff or branches that may fall during storms, it's not going to be able to take and have any kind of lift and bag anything like that. It's just not made for that. Again, it's just made to kind of take the top off of the lawn and kind of keep it healthy and maintained. This is really about giving you back more of your time, especially on a hot summer day. So I appreciate you spending some of that time with me. I don't normally do these types of videos and I'd like to do more. So please ring that like button, drop a comment, hype it up on mobile. And if you like this kind of stuff or electric vehicles or solar or battery stuff, hit subscribe, check out some of my other videos. All that stuff helps small channels like mine expand and lets other people see it and lets them know that this type of content is worth watching. So I have links in the description if you want to check out more about the MOVA line of mowers and find out which one might work for you. I appreciate you using those and supporting those who sponsor me and my channel. That's going to wrap it up for this video. I appreciate you if you've stuck with me this far. Drop me a little house emoji down in the comments if you have. We're going to have more updates throughout the summer, so stay with us at Bo Family EV, and we'll see you on the next one.